art clinic series. We are always on the last Thursday of the month, and what we try to do is bring artists together from different disciplines. Linda and I were talking a few moments ago. We will probably start bringing on some performing artists, maybe a couple of authors and so forth, to expand our outreach. We think that the mobile art community needs more events such as this to bring us together. And I know this is a slightly controversial subject, and we do like to talk about things that are slightly controversial and provocative because we are artists, right? And I am of these decision that we are not competitors. That I am not in competition with Mary. Mary's not in competition with me. There's almost 50 of us in here. And it seems that individuals' taste in art is fairly well defined, and they know what they like. And it's not like two different brands of clothes in a Dillard store. So I don't think galleries should necessarily compete. I think the more galleries you have, the more they prosper. The more artists you have under one roof, the more you prosper. So that is sort of, we invite people constantly from other galleries here and artists that would not show here. So we've had, in fact, we've got one of our speakers here tonight, Dr. Paige Batuli from South Alabama, who's just recently been promoted. And tell us about your new position.
I'm chairman of a new department called Integrative Studies.
That's a big deal. Let's give a round of applause. Good job. Tonight we've got two great speakers, D.G. Ewing and Michael Carmichael. But our performing artist tonight is Mary Rodney. And Mary, we would like for you to introduce yourself and tell us what you will be working on tonight.
Maybe if you see the name, hear the name Rodney, you probably know how good I can be. And I'm going to be showing you how I learned in Japan and China to do the ink brush painting with soot and glue on rice paper. And so it'll be very absorbent, and then we'll see what happens.
We're glad to have you. For those of you that this is your first time, raise your hand. Oh, great. Well, what we typically have is one speaker and 2 or 3 artists for a backdrop to, because we know how artists' minds wander sometimes, and it's sometimes hard for us to stay focused. So if you get bored with the speaker, all you got to do is look at the artist. You get bored with the artist, you pay attention to the speaker. So we have multi-stimulation going up here at one time. We are very informal. If you have questions of the speakers, just feel free to ask them. They love questions. And then during the break, you can come up here, and Mary said that she will actually welcome someone to sit up here and do it with her during our first break. So D.G. will let you come up and introduce yourself and tell us all about yourself.
All right, well, somebody already spilled wine. And it'll guarantee to be me before the night then. Does everyone have wine? Because I'm here to tell you, the more wine you drink, the better I am. Michael asked me if he could heckle me.
Before we go any farther, I'd like to correct something. It's Mike. It's not Michael.
Mike.
Sorry about that, Mike.
Oh.
Yeah, let's start calling Michael. We might just change that tonight. Yeah.
So you're not Michael Thomas?
Michael has a lot to say, isn't it?
Whenever the checks go out, I'll be Michael.
Yours is to listen. And mine is, as soon as I figure out you're not, is to quit. All right, so as soon as I figure out you guys are not listening, I'm out of here. Math or magic? Oh, by the way, the first part of my presentation is going to be a lot of little spotlights going off and on, not connected, not coherent. That's okay, don't even try to grasp it. At the end of my presentation, this is the lost leader to hold you in here, is where I hope to tie things together. All right, so if you're not following me in the beginning, good. I don't even know what I'm saying. All right, why am I here? Well, I made this statement, I've made it several times, that I'm not an artist. And I, honest to God, please believe me when I don't think I am an artist. I'm a painter. That's my work right there behind you. I paint, but I am not an artist. And I've said that so many times. Last time was here, and we had a bottle of cognac in the back, and 4 or 5 of us got a little heated. And so he said, you're going to come and talk about it. So here I am. Now, I got a lot of pushback. Some of it was just people being nice and going, oh yeah, you're a really good artist. Oh, yeah. But I could tell there was some sincerity. And they thought I was an artist. I don't. And that bobbled my head, still does. And it got me thinking, what is an artist? All right? And then I had a problem with establishing what a problem statement was. And I made the statement that I was a replicator. I'm not an artist. I replicate what I see. And it doesn't take much skill or talent. But before I begin, let me establish my bona fides, because the answers that I will provide requires me to have significant qualifications, and I wish I had hers, and Amanda's, and Mike's. But I think after I share my bona fides, you'll agree maybe I am qualified. I'll give them in 3 categories. Category 1 is my personal qualifications. Category 2 is what preeminent and very great artists have said about me. And then the 3rd is the acclamations that I've received, and I'll share those with you. And I will tell you, it's the second one, these distinguished preeminent artists. When you get good artists saying good things about you, I'm the most proud of that. My personal qualifications, I own over 300 paintbrushes. My strongest qualification, I have painted for almost 10% of my life. And I should have put on there, I think I've painted like 12 paintings. All right, strong. I'm impaired visually. I suffer from lexdexia. I almost received a degree in linguistic anthropology. Now that doesn't count for something. I do own 25 books on color theory, of which I've read 3 or 4 times. I'm an engineer. I have a strong left brain bias of 40 years of engineering, and then cultivated with 40 years of engineering. And so the left brain function, if we've forgotten, is analytical thought, logic, language, reasoning, science, and math. All right? Those are qualifiers for an artist. Unlike the right brain, which is art awareness, creativity, imagination, who needs that stuff to be an artist? And all this is what you really need, right? You follow that? And so, preeminent artists have said really great things about me. Yes, Papa, after contemplating, I agree that too many artists use the word complimentary when they really mean complimentary. And she also agrees with my thesis on Ruskin, who wrote this book way back when that said, warm light, cool shadows. Cool light, warm shadows. I'm here to tell you that bullshit crap. After she looked and she agrees with me. All right, but it does allow you to use some creative use of color. Blue shadows with acclamation received. Everyone knows that social media is the only test of being recognized as great in your field. And Facebook owns that arena. In less than a year, I have doubled the number of likes on my Facebook page. I've gone to 1, which was me, to 2, which was my wife. So let me conclude my bona fides. I think by this time, you have to recognize that I am indeed qualified to be up here to tell you these answers to these really lofty questions. It's self-evident. I'm nearly a genius, and I could be trumpeted the king of art. I could be. The the engineer in me has to start with something within a box that I can understand and grab my hands around. So we're going to start with a definition. It's like grade 3, right? And it dawned on me, two-dimensional visual. Can anyone give me an example of two-dimensional non-visual? That made my head go. All right, so the definition that I'm going to be talking about, because I'm a two-dimensional painter, not artist. Although at the end, it could really apply to someone mowing grass, right? Or a jeweler, or a potter, or anything else of human endeavor. So the art, and that's a small a art, meaning the skill or the talent or the effort of painting and arranging shapes, colors, notice colors, this is an English definition, tones, textures, blah, 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 to create an aesthetic image, to hopefully create a piece of capital A art. Difference in the capital A art and the art of painting. Yeah, I employ myself in the art of painting. That does not make me an artist. And oh, by the way, it can be from representational to abstract or anywhere in between, right? So remember why I started this. I said I'm a replicator. I'm not an artist. I'm a replicator. The tray after half a bottle of cognac and a whole bunch of hours pondering this, I have a paradigm, and that's a good thing. Anytime that you're honest with yourself and you go, you know, what I believe may be not accurate, and you shift, you go thinking something else. So my paradigm is that all 2D artists are replicators. How about that? The corollary is, but not all 2D replicators are artists. I still believe that. So I thought about it, replication. So over here is, you know, photorealism. I went out and Googled paintings of birds. That looks like a photograph. Mike could have taken that. That's a painting. And the Lucy sort of Cubanism, and I don't know, and the bird of life. How many people here see the bird of life?
I love it.
I sort of, yeah, Linda would be. As a matter of fact, the only piece of abstract work I ever understood and enjoyed used to be hanging right there. It was Linda's, and it was a scene of New York City. I think it was called the Seascape or a Cityscape, or I don't remember what the name of it was. But she explained it to me, and I'm going, holy mackerel, all this time. It's the only one I stopped trying because I can't take Linda around with me all the time to explain it to me. But anyway, I can sort of see this bird, his eyes, his wing, and he's obviously crapping on me. So that got me thinking, is replication with creativity art? And all the caveman, which I really enjoy, a lot of cave art, I really do. And then we sort of that, and then we got some oils and stuff and eggs and I don't know what else. And then we said, you know, hell, if you take a hot dog and squirt it on canvas and the ketchup goes, hell, that's art. Pretty creative. I think that's pretty creative. Is that what makes art? And then the engineer in me said, hell, I gotta graph this out to understand it. Is creativity a function of the category? And these are the categories by the European salons. And only art would use the word genre to be a genre, like a palette, or it has two different, I don't know. Anyway, and so the notion in my head was, does it take more creativity for, well, here, as an example, and flip these if you want to. Does allegorical painting take more creativity than still life. And let me flip those. I don't know. My thought was, is there a cause, or is there some function of math or something going on there? Or is it a function of style? Or is style a function of creativity? Whew. I don't have much to think about at home, right? So my notion is, where's my, I deliberately did this. Does digital 2 dimensions require less creativity than surrealism? I didn't mean that. You can literally flip it, put anything else in there. Is one a function of the other? I don't know. Got me thinking about it. Or, being an engineer, I said, possible, it could be a combination of both. Okay, so now that I'm clear on what replication is, what the hell is art? What is art? And I found out there's 2 kinds of people in the world. These kind of people and those kind of people. And those kind of people over there are called objectivists. They need objective criteria. And they have a strict definition of what constitutes art. And it's well conceived, its level of originality, it has technical skills employed to create it. That's a group. Another group, this group over here, are subjectivists. They have a thinking that anything is art. Squirting a hot dog on a canvas is art. Because art is defined by the role of the viewer. The viewer is the one. I don't know where you guys belong. Anyway, a smart guy said that. I stole it. All right. And so then I Googled, what is art? Tolstoy. You guys know him, right? Probably considered the best writer ever in the human mankind. Whew. Are you ready for this? Art is not the manifestation of mysterious idea of beauty. It is not the expression of man's emotions, external signs, and above all, it is not pleasurable. It means the union of men joining the same feelings. I have no clue. I guarantee I am not an artist now. I know, I'm clearly not. Frank Lloyd Wright, sort of an engineer, right? Architect. He said, art is discovery and development of elemental principles of nature into beautiful forms, not beautiful, beautiful, suitable for human use. And I'm thinking, maybe my dog likes art too, I don't know. Anyway, I found this guy who I sort of buy into. He says the definition has changed over time, never have had a real clear definition of what it is, and no one really knows. Okay? So, I ain't answering that question. Let me go on to an easy question now. Is there such a thing as good or bad art? Easy questions now. They've been hard up to this point in time. So the engineer in me says, if there is such a thing as good or bad art, because that is an evaluation against some criteria. If the answer is yes, there is such a thing as bad or good art, then there has to be criteria. There has to be attributes and specifications of which you're evaluating against. Does it go 600 miles an hour? Does it jump up and down 32 times, or whatever the specifications are? And if it does that, it's good. If it don't, it ain't. So what the hell are those attributes? You got your following? But notice the theme through everybody: aesthetically pleasing. Well, I don't know what the hell that is either. But I can get universal agreement here, I'll guarantee it, on unpleasing sounds. I'm not going to play any to prove my point, because every one of you go, oh, stop it, Ewing, stop it, stop it. Taste, same thing. I can give you some stuff that you all go, gosh, this is really terrible. Smell, yes. Touch, a little harder. Sight. When I get the sight, and I ask a lot of people, going up and down my block, ringing doorbells, tell me what's really ugly to you. Almost everybody said, well, it's in the eye of the beholder. I went, I'm an engineer, I don't buy that crap. So, if it is in the eye of the beholder, half of this audience statistically will believe that's beautiful, and half of this audience will believe that's beautiful. Well, maybe it's not exactly in the eye of the beholder. Although I will say, I think that is a lot more interesting to look at than that. I think that's more beautiful, but I think that's more interesting. If I had to hang one of those in my house for the rest of my life, because some judge said, Ewing, you're so screwed up, here's your penance for hurting these people's heads tonight, you gotta hang one of those pictures. I'm thinking I'd hang that guy because it's more interesting. Not as beautiful, but more interesting. Does this hurt? Does it seem to move? Stare at it. It'll move.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
There is nothing moving. There's something happening in your eyes
Only when I'm going.
and then in your brain. All right?
That's true.
Get into science now a little bit. Now that fuzzy crap you all believe in. I'm older and all that good stuff.
It could start an epileptic seizure.
Yes, exactly. It's liable to do. You may want to get over and just kick the person sitting next to you. It's so. Right? Eye of the beholder. Maybe, maybe not. All right. So, why, deep inside of us, do most of us believe that's beautiful, and that's not so beautiful? But most of us, many of us, will say, yeah, that's interesting, even though it's not beautiful. Why is that? There are two schools of thought. One is because of our cultural conditioning, which says, did you say this was Japanese or Korean? Both. Is that other cultural societies see art and think it's pleasing, and this one doesn't. Sees the same things, doesn't. Well, Mary's going to prove to you at least two cultures, ours and those, share. We think it's beautiful. The other school of thought is genetics. Ooh, I like this one. Although, when my daughter, I dry run this with my daughter, she's very smart, like her mother. I told her, I said, you know, I don't know of any culture that is not a function of genetics. Maybe those are exactly the same thing, I don't know. I'll let you guys decide that. But my favorite definition of what good art is Andy Warhol's. Whatever the hell you can get by with. You can get by with it, it's good art. All right, so that's really my right brain. We all have use of both. And I have a right brain. I just happen to live over the left side more. And so my left side said, okay, yeah, have fun over there, Ewing. But, and so there's this guy at Princeton who's had this study, and the study was named Inherent Qualities versus Random Chance. And he studied why people bought art. Why did they buy this piece? Why did they buy that piece? Why did they buy that piece? And it turned out that a huge, the number one reason, it's not more than 50%, but it was the number one reason, because there was a whole bunch of reasons, is because other people thought it was good art, and so they thought it was good art. He called it the herd mentality. All right, so what is aesthetically pleasing to you? That's rhetorical. I'm not going to, yes I am. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. As an engineer, it has to be a function of math and science, right? Genetics and all that good stuff. And oh, by the way, Fibonacci, what a cool guy. Da Vinci recognized Fibonacci. Fibonacci is a mathematician in Pisa, where they have that leaning tower, that brought the Arabic numeral system to Europe, among a billion other things. He was, and we use it, us day trade, people who trade stock use the Fibonacci relationships to decide what stock to buy and what's not. And this ratio, if you ever looked at your EKG, the ratio, is it systolic and dystolic? I don't know. Whatever those two, the ratio between those, guess what it is? 1.618, which is the golden ratio. Tons and tons and tons of things in our life is a function of that ratio. He's my hero. By the way, beauty is pi. So now let's role play. Does anyone know what those bars mean, signify? Anybody in the military? Been in the
Gold and
military?
silver.
Gold and silver.
What are
Those are ranks.
Those are ranks.
First lieutenant, second
Yeah.
captain, first.
Second lieutenant,
Second.
first lieutenant. Absolutely correct. Well, your role is 3LT. There's no such thing as third lieutenant. That stands for Linda, Lori, Linda, and Track. 3LT. Okay? Have selected you to be the colors of the coast. That's the name of it, right? Yeah. Good. That would have been embarrassing if I got that wrong. To be the judge. Okay? We're bringing in paintings from a whole, Linda hopes from a whole bunch of people, because it turns out we only had 2 people to give us paintings. And you're the judge. And so your first thing you have to select between these 2 paintings is which is the best to show. Everybody got it? You got your mental notepads going? You figured it out?
I already got it.
Everybody got it?
Got it.
Okay, who didn't choose that one? Thank you. Only 1, 2, 3. All right, 3. Most of you selected that one. Random? I think not.
I'll do it that way, give classifications.
Oops. Which one is the most creative? Who didn't select that one? I'm kicking you out of my classroom. I want to see you after class. You're a troublemaker, and I know it. Yeah, we selected that one. Random? Out of the older? If it was, it'd be about 50-50. Which one is technically the best? Who didn't choose this one? All right, violence is on board. I've got to be one to prove my point. Thank you. Again, random? Or is there something going on here? Oh, by the way, what the hell does the word technical mean to you? I didn't tell you what it meant.
Detail.
Huh?
Detail. Detail.
Detail. What did it mean to you?
Technically correct, I mean.
What does that mean?
That reflects reality.
Precise?
I think in this case it means image fidelity.
Image fidelity.
Oh, wouldn't have done.
Think of who you're getting next. You got the smart guy coming up next. My point is, I didn't decide, didn't tell you what the parameters of technical meant. You have a notion. And oh, by the way, you all agreed on it. Oh, by the way, who knows what this is? You don't get the vote. You can if you don't know. If you do know, you don't get to. We know what that is? This painting was done at the turn of the century, the 20th century in Paris by a guy. And when it hit the Salon, which is the artsy-fartsy world of Paris, controlled by the Academy, who's about to get blown up by this time, the reviews, you're a womanizer. It's pornographic. It went on, and it's worse than MSNBC and Trump reviews. I mean, it just kept going and kept going. The painter is Henry Matisse,
So that was Matisse.
and it's his wife, Camille, and it's called The Lady in the Hat. And boy, I see that pornography. And I use this in my class to prove painting has nothing, Cindy, to do with color. It has to do with value. If you can get the value correct, you can make it any damn color you want to. You ever seen a woman with a green nose? And she's pretty.
It's because he painted my sky
See?
lavender.
Everybody know what this painting is and who did it. And if I told you his name, you're going to go, I don't know if I still know. With the exception of people who study it for a living and stuff. Latour, this is French, all right? You know who this guy is? He was as well known, more well known in Paris in the 1850s and 60s than Brad Pitt is today. Remember back then in television, they only really had art in the upper classes. He is bigger than Brad Pitt. He was a flaneur. There was an author that wrote about flaneurs, men about town, walking canes, walking to be seen. Anyway, that's him. And his name is Manet. And here is a very poor, as a matter of fact, the housing that he lived in at the time, right prior to this, about 5 years prior to that, was completely just torn down to rebuild Paris under Napoleon III. His name is Renoir.
Okay.
This guy over here, his name is Monet. And this guy is one of my favorite of all time artists, was killed during the war with the Prussians a few years after this. Anyway, that is Latour painting Manet and his friends at his studio. Obviously his studio is not your typical, he's got pieces of art, obviously some money. This guy's very rich, funds all these guys. Anyway, would you buy or hang either one of these?
Yes.
Which one? A or B?
The girl.
Huh?
Yeah, Matisse.
Say
Of course.
which one?
it's
Matisse.
Matisse.
Show me this one.
Matisse.
Raise a hand. Most, right? This one?
Nah.
A couple. I'm with, by the way, we think, me, you all think alike. This is one I would take. Most people will take that. Go out, up and down streets, Mobile. This one right here will get 70 to 80% of the votes. And this strange, I don't want to say strange people. I don't want you to belong to my strangeness. But there's some of us that really would hang them with the wall. All right, same question. Which is the best to show?
I like them both. I wouldn't have.
One on the left.
You can't. You can't give, Linda will tell you that you cannot give them both best of show.
But I bust them down into two categories.
Best sea and best lake.
Which is the best to show?
I'm gonna move that way for a second so I can see all of them.
One on the left.
The one on the
Right.
right left.
I gotta go with the right.
Oh, right.
I can relate to the ocean
Yeah.
and the beach.
Okay.
About 50-50.
Yeah,
Huh?
yeah, yeah.
Fair enough?
Yeah.
That's reflections.
Ask for a show of hands.
Random?
Yeah, no.
Nah, don't think so. All right. Which one's the most creative?
One on the left.
Yeah.
Again, half and half. Probably are pretty damn close to it. Best technical.
One on the right.
One on the right. How many best technical? How many people here? I want to see
Yeah.
that. And this one?
Yeah, I just good. I like them both. I like them
All right. Which one do you have $5,000 in your hand? Which one do you buy?
One on the left.
The one on the right.
Left? How many lefts?
On the left?
Yeah, left. Okay. You just paid $5,000 for what is being sold today for $4,000. So you're really astute when it comes to financial decisions. And you just left on the table Sargent's, which is sold for $22 billion.
Oh, right, yes. No, I think that.
Yeah. random? I think not, ladies and gentlemen. Although, did I set you up? Yeah, I'm an engineer.
Which one was 22 million? That one?
Sergeant,
Oh.
this is a living guy. As a matter of fact, he's my favorite artist in the world today.
Who?
His name is Vladimir Volgov, V-A-L-G-O-V. He does landscapes and whatever you call these.
But he has to die to be famous.
I don't care why. You just spent $1,000 more than what that was selling for, and you left $22 million on the table, period.
The beach and babies.
And does it have anything to do with how much we liked it or not? Obviously not.
Yes.
There's something else going on.
Yeah. Babies.
Okay,
and
all right, it's time to wake up. I know some of you are going to say, because you're just cool and pleasant people, no, really, your lecture is really interesting. Please go on. I will point out that is a lion. And I have seen this look back. And Linda said, no, I can't keep the showers on to keep them awake. All right, so this is the important part. The only thing that makes sense to me. Hopefully it makes sense to you, but it's the only thing that makes sense. Up to this point in time, it's just fun. I created something called the Ewing filtration theory. Why? We had a neighbor, Danielle, Suzanne, lived up 4 houses from us. I don't know how many of you folks know her. She died a couple, 3 years ago. Lovely lady. She was an author, a playwright. She produced and played in a play called Art Muted that was down at Space 301, a couple, 3 floors up. She was one of the actors who wrote it. And it was a spoof about an art gallery who was going broke. And so they brought in all kinds of what was considered really bad art to save the gallery. This was in May of 2010. I had been painting 1 week. After watching this play, I almost quit. This is a true story. I bullshit a lot, but this is true. I almost quit. Because I'm thinking, I'm an engineer, and I knew I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But I was sort of enjoying it. And people were looking at my first painting and going, you really did that? I went, yeah, I did. I was sort of impressed too. But after sitting in this play, it hurt my head and I almost quit. And it wasn't for, and I told Danielle that. She said, E.G., don't. It's a spoof. No one knows what bad art is. As an engineer, that was so foreign to me, you might as well say, you don't know who your parents are. I don't know. Whatever's foreign to you. So I created this filter theory. That there is a creator. First of all, as an engineer, I knew there had to be a process. Well, what is the process? There's a creator, the person who paints. I've deliberately not used replicator, artist, painter, but I accept the thing that I created every one of those pieces, all right? And everyone else created theirs. And it goes through this first stage of filtration that I labeled enjoyment filter. And then it's viewed. And the very first viewer, by the way, is who?
The creator.
The creator. Right? And at that point in time, I didn't really have this. This has only been the last few years that I put this second stage. This is as far as I went for a long time. The second stage is the viewer, and then it somehow goes through this matching stage, and it's bought or not. And so as an engineer, I tried to peel back each of those process steps to see what's going on. And what I decided for me, and I think everybody who takes my class gets preached this, there is good and bad art. Absolutely is. But the only person who can say it's good or bad is the creator. They're the only ones that know what that criteria was, that objective set of stuff and can say, yes, I fulfilled it. No, I didn't. And so if they achieved whatever they were trying to achieve, it's good art, and if they didn't, it's bad art. And it doesn't matter because both of them go through that magic filter. And this person becomes this person. I will tell you that I have many paintings that achieved what I wanted to do, and it went through there. I can't stand it. And I have a lot, matter of fact, maybe most. I didn't do what I wanted to do at all, and it went through there, and I love it. How many is that way? You guys are that way too? So, all right. So it goes to the viewer, and they evaluate. Is it enjoyed? And if so, it goes through another magic filter over to the buyer. And if they don't enjoy it, it may still end up on the buy side. And oh, by the way, there's a word here missing, gift. How many have bought someone a gift because of price and couldn't stand the piece of art? Okay, I won't ask you to like anything. All of us. So gift, all right, you can go over there. How much time we got? 5 minutes, I gotta go. All right, so there is as many objectives on this side as there are artists. I'm not even going to try to go there. I will tell you mine, I have to enjoy it. If I didn't enjoy it, it's bad. It has to be 3D representation. I'm not an abstract guy. And I want to be looser, if that's such a word, than I was with my last paint. I'm an engineer, and I'm Johnny in the first grade, man. I'm holding that paintbrush down in the last quarter of an inch, and I'm trying to get at the other end of that paintbrush more than I did the previous time. All right? I won't take too much time. This is my, when I say favorite, I don't mean my favorite. It's favorite of ones that I created. I have many others that are more, that I enjoy more than this one. But this is my favorite.
Look over in front of the screen. There you go, right there.
Huh?
Yeah, I can see why.
And the reason is a whole bunch. But the first thing I want to point out, I showed that decision tree is binary, and it's not. Right? It's not, I like it or I don't like it. It's how much I achieved or didn't achieve. So I would give this a 7.5 and 8.5 on my scale of achieving what I tried to achieve. I grew up in southern Missouri. We had snow, and I remember as a kid in the winter, it was so quiet. That's one of the things. I wanted a painting that was very quiet. That you got a sense that you couldn't hear, you could hear someone pass gas 4 miles down the road, right? And that you barely smelt that sweet smell of firewood. But the really big thing was to hear that crunch when you were walking through the snow after a sunny day, but cold, and the snow sort of melted, and at evening, before 5 o'clock, it would and that crunch is music to my ears. And when I first had this notion, it was my brother, my older brother, 4 years older, me, and my younger brother. But when I started painting this, it turned out to look like my oldest granddaughter. And so I went from really sort of enjoying it to really, really enjoying it. I put my second granddaughter, who was a follower, and in my mind's eye, I've captured her, and my third granddaughter, who goes, I ain't listening to anybody, I'm on this, I'm my own dime.
The dog.
Okay, and my dog. And so I give it a 7.5. Atmospheric perspective, 6 or 7. My shadows suck, a whole bunch. But this is my favorite because when I did it, it was passing from granddaughter to granddaughter to granddaughter every Christmas, and they would show it, and they would fill out the form in the back. And way down here, when Papa turns 100 and Nana turns 100, they would have this chronological record, okay, of what was happening each Christmas. And so that made it pretty special. Right after this, I got a fourth granddaughter. I'm thinking about putting mom here with a pregnant bell. I don't know what I'm doing. My point is, this is not binary, either I did or didn't. I almost, anyway, you got it. All right, so viewer, why is it pleasure to look at? A whole bunch of reasons. You won't find, your words may be different, but they'll fit one of those. And if your piece hits 2 or 3 or 4 of those, then when it goes through that magic filter, wow, hang on, good things are happening, right? The answer could be no. You know, the number one is just not. Linda brought one in tonight called Gumbo. Jambalaya. And it's fun to look at. It's easy to look at. Right? So if it's not pleasant to look at, and oh, by the way, it only takes one of these. Get out of here. Next filter stage. 7 reasons people buy art. Guaranteed. They identify with a piece. It's a beach scene, and I have a beach home. I love horses, and it's a horse. Emotional connection, a whole host of reasons. Sort of this one, although I wouldn't buy that piece if somebody else painted it, it wouldn't have the emotional connection. Social status. Remember the Princeton guy? The reason I bought art because somebody else said it was good. Damn. Bragging rights. Decoration. Number 5, number 1 reason though. They connect with the artist. I've sold 6 paintings here. 5 of them is because the people here connected with me that day. My very first one was 3 old ladies, about my grandmother's age, almost at my wife and I knew. About to fall down that rabbit hole. They were pleasantly of the correct age. From St. Louis, and we're from Missouri, and we got talking, and the one lady said, I gotta have your piece. So she went over and got one of my pieces. Every single one of 6 paintings, except for one, was not my painting. Now they liked it, probably. They wouldn't have bought it if they thought it was ugly. But the reason they bought it is they connected with me. Number 1 reason we sell art. Investment. It's a good reason. You guys screwed up earlier. You paid $1,000 more than you should and left $22 million on the table. And we've all given people gifts. I've given some of my work away that I couldn't stand to people who I couldn't stand. So, closing this up, I use this in my class to remember I almost quit painting because of my fear of people not liking my work. Oh, no reason to paint. And it wasn't. I had the only thing I have control of, 100% control of, I argue you have some control over here, but the only thing that you have 100% control of is did you achieve what you were trying to achieve? All right, tighten your seatbelts. If you think it's been a roller coaster at this point, hang on. We're going to make a 90-degree turn immediately, and then a 180-degree. I'm going to throw something out of the park. What event in May of 1874 has a direct connection with our mayor ribbon cutting that we had a couple of weeks ago? 144 years ago. Direct connection. What 3 trains crashed to allow that event to happen? And how is the Bakers Guild connected to that?
Is there a fire?
Huh?
Is there a fire?
Nope.
The Bakers Guild, weren't they over artists or something like that?
Say it again.
The Bakers Guild had some control over art or?
Nope. All right. So the next question, I want to get one more chart, I think. Are those filters really magic? What's inside those filters? What's going on? That's the engineering. All right, I can see those filters are doing those things, but why are they doing them? Why is it pleasurable to look at? Why didn't we all sort of agree on that? And we all agreed, didn't agree, with the exception of 4 of us who were consistent, by the way. We were very predictable. How much of it is really magic? All right, so if you want the answers to those questions, you got to give me more wine. You have to unanimously ask me to return on one of the 2 subjects, and you got to double my damn pay.